Hi, I'm Jason Stempel. In this tutorial, I'm going to teach you to use Excel to dig into a Google AdWords report and determine which of your clients' landing pages are underperforming and therefore need to be visited for some discovery and repair. Using Excel, we will analyze our clients' landing page conversion rates to help us and our clients make informed marketing decisions related to the demand for their products and the performance of their products' landing pages. Let's get started. We want to generate a destination URL report from Google AdWords that shows the performance of our clients' landing pages. As a professional, you'll likely want to pull this report every month. Within the client's Google AdWords account, change the date range to the last 30 days. And while NDAs prevent me from showing you my clients' AdWords accounts, let's just pretend I have an account open and follow these steps. Open the Dimensions tab. Go to View and select Destination URL. The term destination URL means the very same thing as landing page. Now download the report as a CSV, and then let's open it in Excel. Now that we have the report in Excel, let's delete this first row with the date range in it, and let's rename the name of the worksheet to the date range. So August 1st to August 31st, 2013. Now we can delete this row for cleanliness sake. We want to do a little bit more cleanup too. You notice in some of the cells in the headings it says 1 per click. That's just unnecessary. We don't need it there. It's some garbage that Google AdWords spits out. If anything, it only will add confusion to the report. So what we want to do is highlight a cell with 1 per click in the name, and then up top here, highlight that, copy it, and then open the Find Replace tool, type in 1 per click, then replace it with nothing, and replace all. So it did it for 3 instances. Great, now it's gone. We don't have to look at it anymore. And now we want to make a pivot table. So select all, and then switch to the Data tab, and then click on the Pivot Table Builder. Now when you get started, if there's anything in one of these 4 quadrants, just chuck it out to the side because we're going to build a pivot table from scratch. Great. Now we want to drag destination URL into the row labels quadrant. And then we want to drag impressions, clicks, cost, and conversions into the values quadrant. So impressions, clicks, cost, and conversions great. Now we want to click on the little I here. Now it is all set to sum, but sometimes when you drag things into this values quadrant, it sets it by default to count. If yours is set by default to count, you're going to want to go in here for each of these 4 different things and scroll upward a little bit from count to sum and select sum. And then click OK. And once those are all set to sum, you're good. You can close the pivot table builder. Then drag this first column until it's much shorter because we don't need to see the full size of all of these URLs. It's just too much space. It makes it hard to look at. Now let's rename this pivot table to Pivot Landing Page Popularity. There. And let's drag it to the right of the report that we downloaded. It's a little bit of my pet peeve that when you make a pivot table, it always puts it to the left of the prior worksheet that you were on. So I always drag it to the right for the sake of there being a logical, chronological workflow that anyone can follow. So maybe you're not the person who opens this file next. Maybe it's somebody else, and we just want anybody to be able to open this and to kind of understand how you progress through the work that you've been doing. Okay, so now we want to preserve this pivot table so all the data is clear there if we need to refer back to it, but we want to be able to dig deeper into it. And to do that, we're going to copy all of the data from this pivot table and paste special into a new worksheet. So select all, then copy, and then create a new worksheet. And now I'm on a Mac, so I'm going to control click, and I'm going to select paste special. And the only thing I want selected is values. And I click OK. Awesome. Okay, so let's look at this. So it seems that there's more text in here that's just kind of messy. This whole sum of, we don't need that. This is the conversions column. This is the cost. You know, we don't need sum. So let's do another find replace. So I'm on my Mac, so I hit Command F, and I'm going to type in sum of and replace with nothing. Awesome. Now everything's just a little bit more clean. Now we'll create a few new columns that will reveal the data that we're after. Insert a column before cost and call it CTR for click-through rate. Click-through rate is calculated by dividing the number of impressions by the number of clicks. In the first cell of the new column, type an equal sign, and then select the first cell of the clicks column, type a /, and then select the first cell of the impressions column and hit enter. Select the whole column, and let's format it to percentage, and then give it 2 decimal spaces of padding to the left. Then select this first cell of click-through rate, hover over the lower right corner until the plus sign turns black, and double-click, and that will paste the formatting and the calculation to every other cell in the column. Now let's add another new column, this time before conversions, and we'll label it CPC, which is cost per click. Cost per click is calculated by dividing the number of clicks by the cost. So select the first cell of the new CPC column, type an equal sign, then let's select the first cell of the cost column, / for division, and then the first cell of the clicks column, and then hit enter. Cost per click is a dollar value, so select the whole column. Let's apply dollars, and then select this top cell, hover over the right corner until the plus sign turns black, and double click. And now let's add one final new column after conversions, and we'll name it conversion rate. Conversion rate is a percentage and is calculated by dividing clicks by conversions. So select the first cell of a new conversion rate column and type equals, and afterwards select the first cell of the conversion column, type a /, and then select the first cell of the clicks column and hit enter. Then select the whole column, apply percentage formatting, and then pad it 2 decimal places to the left. Highlight this first cell, hover over the right corner until the plus sign is black, and double click. Notice all this garbled stuff in these 3 columns? It seems to show up everywhere there's a 0 in the clicks column. That's really unattractive to look at when you're sorting through data. Let's hide that. Select the clicks column, make sure you're on the Home tab, and then up top here, select the filter tool. Click on the little down arrow that showed up at the top of the clicks column. Now we just want to uncheck the box next to 0, and then close this. So what's happened is behind the scenes here in this worksheet, this data still exists. Those zeros and that garbled looking data that was corresponding to that 0 in the adjacent columns. We've hidden it, but which is great for the sake of looking at this worksheet right now. But as we progressively dig deeper into this data to find nuggets of value, we don't want to have data that's hidden behind the scenes. We want to have just clean data in the worksheet that we're working in. So what we want to do is select just what's visible and paste it to a new worksheet. And to select visible, the keyboard shortcut on a PC is Alt semicolon, and on a Mac, the keyboard shortcut is Command Shift Z. So I'm going to just select what's visible, and then I'll simply copy it, create a new worksheet, and paste in the clean data. So let's start sorting so we can look more closely at this big data. Select the first cell of any column, and then under the Data tab, choose the Filter tool, which is over here. And what that did is it puts one of these little down arrows at the top of every column. In the Conversions column, select the down arrow, and then choose to sort by descending, and then close this window. Well, we don't need this grand total row, so delete that. Now let's look at this data. So it's a good thing we sorted in descending order, because now we can clearly see that there are only a handful of rows which have conversion shown right at the top of the worksheet. It seems down to row 26, or 25 rather. For this report, we don't need to see all the other rows of data that have no conversions. So let's isolate the stuff we need by moving it away from the stuff that we don't need. Select all the rows that do have a conversion and simply copy and paste them to a new worksheet. Now that we've isolated this data, we're going to apply some conditional formatting to the conversion rate column so we can more easily visualize which landing pages are successful and address those that are underperforming. Select the data points in the conversion rate column, make sure you're on the Home tab, and then go over to conditional formatting. Select color scales, green to red. The cells containing the highest conversion rate are shaded green, and the cells containing the lowest conversion rate are shaded red, with any values in between a variation of yellow and orange. Rather than having to carefully read all the numbers of each cell, conditional formatting visually draws our attention to the data we're hunting for. Notice that there's this bright green cell with 33.33%. Wow, that's a high conversion rate, and definitely something to be proud of, but that number is so much higher than all the other numbers in the column. That's why it's the only one colored green, making all the other converting landing pages appear undervalued by comparison. That's no good. So what we'll do is we'll make a note of this productive landing page, but we should treat it as an anomaly that's causing our conditional formatting to show up lopsided. We want to normalize this data to get a better sense of the actual performance of all the converting landing pages. So let's copy this one row and then delete it and then paste it somewhere else in this worksheet so we remember that it's there. So copy it and then delete. And now let's go down like to 31 and paste it in. There. So it's not being compared to all these others, but it's not forgotten because it's still here in the worksheet. So now we can see there's a more fair distribution of color in the conditional formatting column. Just to note, an industry-accepted baseline for successful conversion rate is anything in the 2 to 4% range. And anything lower than that, we should probably investigate to see what's wrong with the landing page. It seems that quite a bit is lower than that. Here we have 10%. Here we have 3.23%, which is pretty good, and 4.67%, which is pretty good. But everything else in this column is too low and worth investigating. It's important to fully understand each client and how they do business before jumping to conclusions based on the data within a report like this. Looking at this data, we can see that many of these landing pages have a conversion rate that's below 1% over the last 30 days, And of course, this client wants to convert online, and we want them to convert online too. However, what you can't see from this data is that this particular client gets a lot of phone calls due to the Google ads that we have running. People are just picking up the phone to place their order rather than entering their credit card information on the website for certain products. The data in this report just doesn't reveal that. Only open communication between you and your client will give you perspective of the full picture. In this tutorial, we've actually distilled over 2,000 rows of data in Excel into 20 rows that provide actionable insights. Now, as a search engine marketer, it's time to take action. All of these URLs colored red are underperforming. As search engine marketers, it's our job to visit these destination URLs and check and make sure that the pages are working properly and loading properly. To do this, we visit each of these web pages and test them to make sure that the buttons on the pages function properly when clicked, to make sure that there's a clear call to action on the page, that there is a good quality picture of the product we're trying to sell, that the text on the page is all legible, that the product description is interesting, and that there are user reviews that prospective customers can read and trust. And if after you have visited and reviewed and tested a landing page, but haven't found a cause for low conversion rates, I recommend opening the underperforming destination URLs adjacent to a high converting destination URL in your browser so that you can compare them and contrast them and get inspired for how to alter the lower performer to emulate the higher performer. In conclusion, I hope this tutorial was thoroughly helpful to you. I taught you how to use Excel to drill down into big data and pull out golden nuggets so you can act to improve your client's landing page performance, which is critical to a successful search engine marketing campaign. If you enjoyed this tutorial, I'd really appreciate it if you gave it a +1, a like, a thumbs up, and share it across the web with your friends. Please subscribe to my channel to stay informed of new search engine marketing tutorials that I make and post online, which I do rather frequently. Thanks for watching.